Our Father in heaven, set apart is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. On earth as it is in heaven. Our Father in heaven, set apart is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Our Father in heaven, set apart is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. The kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. The kingdom, the power, the glory, forever.
Welcome to our classes tonight. We're going to be covering Yom Teruah and Yom Kafar. They're tied closely together. And yes, we do have problem children in our area. This is even though I'm presenting the information, uh, this is something I like. Everyone can participate in. I certainly don't know everything, and you all always come up with absolutely fantastic thoughts and all that, which I will put into the notes so that when I do post the classes and send them out as a PDF, the notes will incorporate your comments. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. So first we're going to talk about is Yom Teruah, which is the day of shout. Uh, what we're going to encounter is the seventh month appointed times. And these are the what is known as the shadow of things to come. And the reason why there's shadow things come because the actual events have yet to take place. We rehearse these, we practice, but the actual event themselves have not come to pass. Now, these will take place, of course, when Yahusha returns. These are the events that will take place that will lead to his return, and a lot of significant things take place during this time. So we know that on the seventh month, according to Yahuwah's calendar, day one of that is Yom Teruah. Day 10, Yom Kippur. A week of for Sukkot, and then the eighth day, the last day, which is on day 22nd, is a set apart gathering, the closing festival. Tonight we're going to cover Yom Teruah and Yom Kippur. And as always, I do enjoy giving this out because this is when I like to give classes, and especially in writing, when people can read, I like to use the Aleph Tal. This is Yahusha's marker. And this is exceptionally important to identify that it has been inspired by the Ruach. And this is where, like, when he puts his mark on something, pay attention. It's extremely important. If it's extremely important to him, so it must be extremely important for us. Okay, so the way the Jews like to read their scriptures is that when they come across your left halt, they will pronounce it as et, which I don't like because it kind of takes away from the power of it. So when we do come across it, I will actually say a left halt. Okay, what is Yom Teruah and what is it? What is its purpose? Now, we're going to cover what it is, when it's observed, and then we're going to go into some things like where is it found in the renewed covenant writings. When we talk to Christians, they always want to say, well, where is it in the renewed covenant writings? Well, we'll cover that so that they know, yes, the Talmud did indeed observe these appointed times. Okay, so Yom Teruah from Leviticus 23, verse 24. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the seventh month, on the first day of the month, you have a rest, a remembrance of blowing of trumpets, a set apart gathering. You do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. And in Numbers, and on the seventh month, on the first day of the month, you have set apart gathering. You do no servile work. It is a day of blowing the trumpets for you. Now, I've spoken to a couple of elders, and there's some differences of opinion about what does it mean by no servile work. Does it automatically translate into a complete rest day? Or is it translated into a day which you rest unless there's a festival, in which case you prepare a meal? The differences of opinion is one is the rest day is a rest day. It doesn't matter if it's a festival or not. The other one is like, yes, but you can prepare a meal because it's a festival. So differences of opinion. Here it says no serve. Here in Leviticus it says it is a rest day, and also says you do no servile work. Numbers only says you do no servile work, but you will be blowing the trumpets or shofars. And Yahweh too, blow a ram's horn to Sion, and sound an alarm in my set apart mountain. Let all the inhabitants of earth tremble, for the day of Yahuwah is coming, for it is near. A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Like the morning clouds spread over the mountains, a people many and strong, the like of whom has never been, nor shall there ever be again after them, to the years of many generations. Ahead of them a fire has consumed, and behind them a flame burns. Before them the land is like the Garden of Eden, and behind them a desert waste. And from them there is no escape. Yom Teruah is a warning. The day of shout, the blowing of shofar, it is a warning. Yahuwah / Yahusha, this is his warning to us. I am coming, and I am very, very near. It is time for you to get your act together. It is time for you to call on me. One of the things that we'll talk a little bit later and use an example is when we blow a shofar, we're calling to Yahuwah. When we hear a shofar coming from the Shemayim, Yahuwah is calling us. So this is a very important event. This is like, here's the flag. I'm a coming. I want to see my people. And that's this. In the third month after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Mitzrayim, on this day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, see, I am coming to you in a thick cloud, so that the people hear when I speak with you and believe you forever. And Moshe reported, left all the words of the people to Yahuwah. When the trumpet sounds long, let them come to the mountain. This is an example of Yahuwah blowing a shofar to assemble his people. And this is a rehearsal, if you will. So this is kind of like an actual historical event that kind of tells us, okay, yeah, this is what's going to be expected of us. And in Exodus 19:16, and it came to be on the third yom in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud on the mountain, and the sound of the ram's horn was very loud, and all the people who were in the camp trembled. And Moshe brought Aleph-Tal, the people, out of the camp to meet with Elohim, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. And Mount Sinai was in smoke, all of it, because Yahuwah descended upon it in fire. And its smoke went up like a smoke of a furnace, and all the mountain trembled exceedingly. A rehearsal for when he comes to take over his reign. And again, you hear that it is the Yahuwah blowing the shofar that assembles the people. It is a foreshadowing of things come, like we talked about. And when a blast of a ram's horns sounded long and became louder and louder, Moshe spoke, and Elohim answered him by voice. And Yahuwah came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain, and Yahuwah called Moshe to the top of the mountain, and Moshe went up. A rehearsal. This continues on the story of how, what is going to be expected of us when he returns in the future. Now, even though there's a lot of bad things going to be happening at the time, it must be remembered that Yom Teruah is a day of joy because we know the Master is coming. And when the 7th month came, the children of Israel went into the cities, and all the people gathered together as one man in the open space that was in front of the water gate. And they spoke to Ezra, the scribe, to bring Aleph Tall, the book of the Torah of Moshe, which Yahuwah had commanded Aleph Tall Yisrael. And that's why the priest brought Aleph Tall, the Torah, before the assembly of both men and women, and all who could hear with understanding, on the first day of the 7th month. And he read from it in the open space in front of the water gate from morning until midday, before the men and women and those who could understand. And the ears of all the people listened to the book of the Torah. Okay, Aleph Tall associated with the book of the Torah, which is it is still with us and very important. And Aleph Tall, Yisrael. We are grafted in the tree called Yisrael. And from what I believe, what this also tells us is, what do you do on Yom Teruah? Well, you read the Torah. Now, to me, that would be the 10 love commands. But it is a day that you actually spend time reading the Torah, because here people will understand more so than they have before. Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. And Ezra blessed Aleph Tall Yahuwah, the great Elohim. Then all the people answered, Aman, Aman, while lifting up their hands, and they bowed their heads and worshiped Yahuwah with faces to the ground. Now, verse 7, there's a whole list of names that starts off the verse. So I went ahead and bypassed that and get to the important part here, and that is, cause the people to understand the Torah, while Aleph Tall, the people, were in their place. In Scripture, when I try to read, when they talk about teaching the Torah, I don't know of any other place except when it describes this particular day where people will understand. It specifies they understand. And as a shadow of things to come, when Yahuwah sounds his shofar, I suspect that people, particularly Christians, as we talk about, will start to understand more so than they ever had before, which is good news, because that's what Yahuwah wants. He wants everyone to understand. And they read in the book of Torah of Elohim, translating to give the sense and cause them to understand their reading. And Nehemiah, who was a governor, and Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Elul, who taught Aleph to all the people, said to all the people, this day is set apart to Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not mourn or weep. For all the people wept when they heard the words of the Torah. Then he said to them, go, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions to those for whom none is prepared. For this day is set apart to Yahuwah. Do not be sad, for the joy of Yahuwah is your strength. Again, the emphasis here is on understanding. And that really hit me when I was doing my study on this. I said, wow, we're getting into where, when the real event occurs, we're in a horrible, horrible state as far as the world is concerned. This is telling me eyes will be opened. Eyes will be opened, and ears will hear. A lot more people will come to understand what's taking place and who is Yahusha, and they will go to him and actually return to him. Right? There is an interesting part here, and I don't have an answer for it. When it comes to the food guide, we're told do not eat fat. And I understand the health reasons on it, but it's specified do not eat fat. But here, go eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions. So I don't understand why on this particular day you can eat the fat, but you can. And Louis, we're silencing all the people saying, hush, for the day is set apart. Do not be sad. And all the people went to eat and to drink and to send portions and make a great rejoicing because they understood the words that were made known to them. This whole portion was so amazing to me that people, when we talk all about the gloom and doom and how people are blinded. When the real event comes, I really do believe this is telling us their eyes will be opened. And that is great news. Now, in Matthew chapter 24, verse 30, then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heavens, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming on the clouds of the heavens with power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the Shemayim to the other. Listening to the great sound of the trumpet. Now, one of the thoughts we had this past week was that should we assemble in Jerusalem to meet Yahusha in the cloud? To me, this answers that particular question. We are not required to go to him. He's going to come and gather us. The reason for us to be as scattered as we are is that it enables us to witness to a lot of people. If we all go to Jerusalem, then who can we witness except each other? So this is like our task when Yom Teruah occurs. We're going to go out and we're going to witness so that to people whose eyes have been opened and their ears are receptive to the truth of Yahusha. Now, this does not, I'm putting these in now on what Matthew said, because this is what's going to result, later on. This is what's going to happen later on when Yahusha returns. We will be gathered. We do not need to assemble ourselves. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and this I say, brothers, that flesh and blood is unable to inherit Alephtal, the reign of Yahuwah. Neither does corruption, Alephtal, inherit incorruption. See, I speak a secret to you. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible has to put on incorruptible, and the mortal to put on immortality. The last trumpet, Yom Teruah. What I gather from this is the time we will be transformed. Those who are still alive will be transformed into immortal bodies so that we can witness and be the priests and kings to those around us. The dead shall rise on this day as well. In other words, the scroll of life has probably been opened. And we are here to witness during the next 9 days, witness to those around us, because they will be receptive. They want us to speak to them. They're gonna seek us out, and this is where our real job really comes into play, because we're going to be very busy for those 10 days, or actual 9 days, because Yom Kippur is coming, and when we talk about that, that's an exceptionally important day too. So On the last trumpet, we are transformed. 1 Thessalonians 4, excuse me, I need some water. For if we believe that Yahusha died and rose again, so also Yahuwah shall bring with him those who sleep in Yahusha. For this we say to you by the word of the Master, that we, the living, who are left over at the coming of the Master, shall in no way go before those who are asleep. Because the Master himself shall come down from heaven with a shout, with the voice of a chief messenger, and with the trumpet of Yahuwah. And the dead in Mashiach shall arise first. Then we, the living, who are left over, shall be caught away together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air. And so we shall always be with the Master. So then encourage one another with these words. What struck me on this was that as this re-emphasizes what was in Corinthians, and that all are in Yahusha, who believes in Yahusha. And I found that to be interesting. We know that Yahusha is Yahuwah. Here it specifies those who believe in Yahusha. So that means also those who had lived prior to the coming of Yahusha as Mashiach, 2,000 years ago. Even though they called him Yahuwah prior to that time, they were in Yahusha. And in Revelation 4, after this I looked and saw a door having been opened in the heaven. And the first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, Come up here, and I shall show you what left all has to take place after this. And immediately I came to be in the Ruach, and saw a throne set in the heaven, and one set on the throne. Yom Teruah, when we are transformed into our mortal bodies, will take place when the trumpet is speaking to us. On that particular day, we will be transformed. Because remember, a physical body cannot enter the Shemayim. It's all the Ruach. We have to have our mortal bodies only, not our mortal bodies. In Psalms 91, for he delivers you from the snare of the trapper, from the destructive pestilence. You are not afraid of the dead by night, of the arrows that flies by day, of the pestilence that walks in darkness, of destruction that ravages at midday. Because you have made Yahuwah my refuge, the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil befalls you, and a plague does not come near your tent. For he commands his messengers concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. As we see today, pestilence, wars, all are taking place. But we are not to fear, for we are protected. Now, here's an example I thought was real quick on this, is that when we blow the shofars, we are calling to Yahuwah. And that's what the Israelites did when they went into battle. In Numbers 10, verse 9, and we go into battle in your land against the enemy that distresses you, then you shall shout with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before Yahuwah your Elohim, and ye shall be saved from your enemies. And in the day of your gladness and in your appointed times, and at the beginning of the months, ye shall blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over your peace offerings. And they shall be a remembrance for you before your Elohim. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Here's where before you went into battle, just like be it a spiritual battles that we are encountering, we call on Yahuwah. blowing the shofar, it says, you blow it, he will respond. We are calling to him. Kind of like a situational awareness. Yahuwah will sound the shofar at the end of the time, which we call tribulation. Wars, pestilence, at least a third of the world's population has died. So a lot of things are taking place, and it is going to be, when he blows the shofar, it's going to be so distinctive, so overwhelming, that people will realize it's not from man that this is taking place. It is from Yahuwah. And again, their eyes will be opened and they will be receptive. And we talked a little bit about it this past week. In fact, it was great. Thank you, Joe, for the reading on this last fourth day. And we in Jubilee, we talked about how man will corrupt the calendar. And Yahuwah knows his calendar, and he will be accurate. We may not be as accurate as we would like to be because man has corrupted it. So, as always, be prepared for hearing the shofar. We may think it might be coming up in a couple of days, but it might happen today. It might happen a couple of days later. So when we rehearse with a set schedule. When the actual event occurs, it may be as we anticipate on that day, but it might be a day early, it might be a day later, or 2 days earlier, or 2 days later. So just kind of keep that in your thoughts. So for this year, day one of the 7th month begins at sunset on September 15th and ends at sunset on September 16th. Now, this coincides with the weekly Shabbat. Observe the day the same as you would any other Shabbat, except you're blowing the shofar. I have not seen any place where it says when you're supposed to blow the shofar during that day. I suspect you blow it at the beginning and in the middle and toward the end. You blow it throughout the day. I would, especially at the beginning. I think that kind of ushers in the day itself. So, Yom Teruah, the day of shout. I'll make these into a PDFs with notes that I have, because these are shadows of things to come. A lot of people, I have a lot of questions. Everybody has a lot of questions about, hey, what does that really mean? What's going to happen? Things like that. Well, we don't know. Scripture it doesn't really have a lot to say. But I do have something that will be brought out when we talked about Sukkot, because there's something very interesting about it. Because it will carry forward into the 1,000-year reign. We will continue to observe these forever. So it has importance during the 1,000-year reign, and I believe it has importance after that. So, questions, comments, please.
What has importance with the 1,000-year reign? And also, can you repeat the scripture about the Torah? What you said, like if you're living by the Ruach, the things of the Ruach, you're not under Torah.
Keep in mind, the Torah is a flesh. It's for the flesh. So when when you covet, is it your spirit coveting, or is it the fleshy desires that covet? When you commit murder, is that your ruach committing a murder of a ruach, or is your flesh murdering flesh? Did it help you with that?
Yeah, I just have I have a lot of questions around everything with the Torah, but also thank you. When you're talking about it, also coincides with the 1,000-year reign. What is it? I missed it.
Okay. There's going to be. I'm going to cover something next week when we cover Sukkot, about what takes place if someone misses an appointed time during the 1,000-year reign. So it tells us that yes, the appointed times are still in effect after he takes over his kingship. And I'll tell you what, there, Kathleen, were you here when we went to Matthew 24?
No, I mean on and off. Mostly no, because I was driving through mountains, so there's no cell reception.
Okay, this is what when you and I talked a little bit about it in this past week about gathering in Jerusalem, and then if you look at Matthew 24 verse 30 and 31, particularly 31, and I'll go ahead and read it again. And he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the Shamayim to the other. So we will be gathered. We do not need to assemble. Okay.
Makes me wonder, like, how he's going to gather us. You know what I mean? Like,
He said he's going to send his message. He's going to send his Malachim.
Say it again.
He's going to send his Malachim.
So the Malachim
Yeah.
will come.
Yeah, he's going to send them
like
out
the
to us.
Malachim will come get us.
Yes.
That's amazing. Wow, praise Yahuwah. That's a nice
one. And that's what we talked about, why we talked about why we are so spread out now. And that's because our job right now is to help people understand those around, people around us, to witness to them. And with Yom Teruah, what I've been reading, people's eyes are going to open, and they're going after seeking truth. And that's why we're so spread. spread out. Because we'll be the ones giving them that. We'll be in places where, in order to do that. Okay, anyone else have like to comment or have a question? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and then we can open it up for